Sorry, about the focus and what Josh is saying, that, you know, he's talking about the future, and it sounds like he's not answering fully the question. But Congresswoman Velasquez has given us money to do a more comprehensive feasibility study of permanently constructing a physically separated greenway along the waterfront. It's she's given us $6.6 million. We're starting to draw down on that money and get a consultant on board to do a feasibility analysis, because as these gentlemen have said, there's not a lot of room there. There's utilities underneath there. We recently reconstructed it. We do have plans for what is there, but we're starting the process, and we want the community to be involved in that process for as it grows. It's going to be a longer-term undertaking, as Josh says, because it's full capital construction, but it's something that the agency recognizes. Right now we have an interim lane, and Josh is explaining how we have to implement it in this interim time period.
And I just go back to the process question that you raised, and you know, like I said, we did go to the planning board in April and June. In September, I really want to apologize if the presentations were not clear, but we did highlight the impact on parking. That was clear. If you want to refer back, we have all the presentation from September is posted on the website. It has all the numbers of parking spaces that would be removed, and we tried to be very clear. And there's only so much we can do to be clear.
Well, I'll tell you what. Actually, the community board members can actually tell you exactly what they heard.
Let me just say that I think some people were there. We had a meeting. I don't remember when it was, and Jerry was at the board office. Jerry was at the office, and actually we're talking about future plans, and we said we object to it. And specifically my question was, are you telling us what's going to happen, or are you asking us? And the response was that this is going to happen. And the truth is that the community board, the DOT did not ask for approval, and this is an executive plan. So what we're trying to say is, as I said before, when you do a repaving, which does not have such an impact, everybody is notified. When you see a plan, a presentation plan, you don't realize where it's going to go. And there are parts, as said before, there are parts which are much wider, and it does not have such an impact, a bike lane. What you don't see, there are that small stretch, it is going to have a detrimental impact. So that's what we are saying, that has to be looked at, and we respectfully request that be rescinded until something could be done. And I know you're working on it, but until then, that should be rescinded. Thank you.
It seems, and again, I'm new to this, but it seems to me that the problem here is that you're taking something which is a great thing, which is a continuous bike route from South Brooklyn, where I live, all the way up to North Brooklyn, and you're making it incredibly unpopular. People actually booed at the idea of more bike lanes, because that's how unpopular the bike lane has become in this community, and that's terrible for people who love bike lanes and who want, like I do, a continuous commercial bike route everywhere in the city, or a continuous route the way you have commercial routes. And it's terrible for folks whose ability to live and deal with schools and their businesses is gone. So there's, to me, two questions here. One is, can you have a bike lane and have a way to stop? One. And two, can you fix the signage on any of the side streets, the parking regulations on the side streets, which are set up for an area that was more industrial than it is today, to replace the lost parking spaces? So are both of those things possible? I mean, you're the engineer or the expert. I'm not. I'm new to it. But is it possible to have a bike lane on this street and be able to stop it?
There's no sign on the block. You have water from one side and a huge
Joe?
from the other side.
We are looking at regulations for the loading zones for businesses out there right now. Borough engineer has been out there for the last week or so, and within the next week to 10 days, we should have some answers. We already gave one loading zone to Carriage House. We put signs up in front of the school, the yeshiva, that's picking up and dropping off the children. Shape the landing. Only buses. Only buses. Only buses. Only buses. That's the only school that was brought to my attention. Shape the landing has a turnaround. that could be used.
You don't
to
have
pick-
to
No,
know.
If
You
they
don't have
don't-
the information on it. You don't.
No, I don't have to.
You don't know.
What is your turnaround?
Look, here's the thing, that was, I don't think we're going to solve this here now. My colleague to my left is better at this than I am, but I don't think we're gonna solve it here. But here's the issue, it sounds like DOT came here with the belief that stopping outside of the bike lane for pickup and drop off was an option. You're hearing very clearly that is not a realistic option, that doesn't happen, it doesn't work, people get ticketed. So can we agree that you will have a time that's maybe a little bit smaller when DOT can talk about the plans and the ideas for how to make stopping possible, and folks who are very worried about stopping, folks who have yeshiva, who are worried about the yeshiva parents, folks who have small businesses, are able to sit down so that the solution isn't getting rid of this thing, isn't getting rid of the Greenway, which is frankly not something I want to do. The solution is in a private, smaller setting, figuring out something that's actually realistic, not just an idea. Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that?
Yes, parking.
we have some questions here.
100 parking, there's no way to put it back. 100 parking.
Okay,
There's no way to put it back.
Let's ask the questions when, because otherwise we'll never get to
It's hard to imagine anybody can be better at this than Dan Swain. I think that's really exactly what we need to do, and Dio, I'm gonna assume that you're willing to do, okay, that we're gonna have to sit down with a group from the community, DOT, and frankly, I think we need the precinct also to be involved, especially if there's issues about, what you're allowed to, how you're allowed to stop and where you're allowed to stop, because the goal, and that we can bring in also maybe people from the Schaefer management, because people, I can tell you, they do not let, car services and whatnot go in on that turnaround, so it's actually, it's just not, that actually is not an option today. Maybe it could be, but as of today, not an option. So I appreciate your willingness. We're going to have to sit down with a working group that can hash out really in a detailed way what the issues are block by block here. I know there's the rest of the agenda, so let's move on to the other stuff on the agenda. I want to say, speaking of Congressman Velasquez, who did do tremendous work in bringing those resources, her representative for Chief Staff, Evelyn Cruz, is here representing Congressman Velasquez, and there she is.
okay.